I saw the boundless view. All became dissolved in light, united within one joyous love. Yet the light cast a shadow, grim and terrible, which passing downwards became like restless water, chaotically tossing forth spume like smoke. And I heard an unspeakable lament, an inarticulate cry of separation. The light then uttered a word, which calmed the chaotic waters. My guide asked, "Do you understand the secrets of this vision? I am that light, the mind of God, which exists before the chaotic dark waters of potentiality. My calming word is the Son of God, the idea of beautiful order, the harmony of all things with all things. Primal mind is parent of the word, just as, in your own experience, your human mind gives birth to speech. They cannot be divided, one from the other, for life is the union of mind and word. Now, fix your attention upon the light and become one with it." When he had said this, he looked into me, eye to eye, until trembling I saw in thought the limitless power within the light, to form an infinite yet ordered world, and I was amazed. I saw in the darkness of the deep, chaotic water without form, permeated with a subtle, intelligent breath of divine power. Atom's word fell on the fertile waters, making them pregnant with all forms. Ordered by the harmony of the word, the four elements came into being, combining to create the brood of living creatures. The fiery element was articulated as the constellations of the stars and the gods of the seven heavenly bodies, revolving forever in celestial circles. The word then leapt up from the elements of nature and reunited with mind, the maker, leaving mere matter devoid of intelligence. My guide said, "You have perceived the boundless primal idea, which is before the beginning. By Atom's will, the elements of nature were born as reflections of this."
It's got a 10-inch sub on the bottom with like a big pole of like, 15 little speakers that shoot in every direction, and it'll fill a whole fucking room.
Well, Doc, that's what happens when you let the woman touch your pole.
They break shit. They leave you broken and needing money.
Hey Doc, you still say the N-word?
Only when applied correctly.
Nah, man, don't be an idiot, man. I apply it.
There's no need to. I don't see anybody that's being one right now.
This guy's a demon, bro. Don't.
Well, I mean, but you grew up in a generation of like political correctness and stuff where you care what other fucking people think. I really don't give a fuck.
Oh, this guy's a villain, bro.
But is this your arch nemesis? Is it?
This is the final boss, bro.
Good thing I've given you my address 500 times and put my phone number on this bitch. I don't know how many times for somebody that fucking keeps wanting to run their fucking mouth and do something about it.
And what do you do?
Well, you gave your address to 500 times, Doc.
Oh yeah, 11.
Dude, Jazzy's room, fucking healthy debates, fucking Jay, fucking anybody. I don't give a fuck. I wish a motherfucker would.
Yeah, but you
know what?
beginning with Treyasar, I think. And it's a strange story. Like, most of it is just, reprimands, talking about faithfulness and, like, the people. But, like, I want to see the entire development of that narrative on its own. So the rabbis and the Gemara debate whether or not it happened. As I understand it, from what I saw, Ibn Ezra says complete fiction, right? So he goes hard. He says didn't happen, which is somehow distinct from the Rambam and a few others that hold that it was Mari Nevuah. And then there is the Gemara that says it 100% straight up happened. God commanded the prophet Hosea to marry a famous prostitute and father children as a lesson.
Oh my.
It's a fun one.
I don't know why this gives me, it's not similar to Eov, but for some reason I'm thinking
This
of
feels
Eov.
worse than Eov.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all people live and die. This is God, like, manipulating an upsetting, immoral situation.
Yeah. Was Eov also questioned whether it was actually happened or not?
Yes.
Or,
Yeah. A lot of people say Eov didn't happen.
and there was also some kind of manipulation involved there, obviously, with the Satan and the little game. And
Yeah, well, I mean, Satan is a messenger of God. He does bring out these messages. There is one position that Eov was, I believe, one of the advisors of Paro when it came to killing the Jews. Like,
yeah.
what did they say? They said that it was Bilam, Yisro, and Eov. And that Bilam was in favor of destruction. He's the evil one. Yisro used and said that they shouldn't kill the Jews, and he helped father Moshe. And Eov didn't vote. He just was like, either one is fine. And that was the story of what happened to him. A different argument is that Eov happened in the time of Avram Avinu. Eov's a whole big question: who wrote it, when it was written, whether or not it happened.
Eov happened at the time of Abraham Avinu.
Yeah, there's a good argument to be made there because at the beginning, when it gives like a place, what?
Isn't it Oats?
I don't remember. Oots, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not oats, maybe oots.
Okay.
But yeah, I think like the last time that's referenced is around the Abraham era, and also like the events around him are like vague enough that it feels kind of similar to the Abraham story, and it's sort of like a what if of Abraham. Like, what if Abraham, but he only wanted success. He didn't just like purely devote himself to God.
Interesting.
There's like a 10-way machlokus as to what era and which writer Eov comes from.
Yeah. It's got that feel to it because there isn't a date mentioned or an actual place. There's a place, but it's one where we don't know that place, right? It's not a.
Well, I think there are other references in the Torah to Uts, but or something like Uts. But yeah, Eov is weird because it's more of a universalist narrative than usual. Like most of the stories in the Torah fit into a chronology; they're not disambiguated. Eov is like completely disambiguated. It's just like a guy with his family and 3 friends that show up, and it could happen in any era. And like it's dealing with a big question as far as humans are concerned. The problem of evil always pops up. People have big thoughts on it.
Yeah, I just thought of something to go on a little tangent for a second. Maybe you can help me out with how I would word this question. And actually, I answered this question once on a trivia thing, but I want to ask it eventually somewhere in the rooms because I'm thinking of doing some trivia room. But okay, the very first woman in the Torah would be
Chava?
okay. Yeah, it is Chava because in the Torah it's Chava, but isn't there another one, right?
You're talking about like Lilith?
Yes. Okay. Now I can't say that the first woman in the Torah was Lilith because she's not mentioned in the Torah, right?
I don't think she's mentioned in the Torah. There might be a reference to Lilith and Nach. I don't want to be so bold and say there isn't.
Right. Or maybe the Gemara, the Talmud.
I mean, my sense is that she's more of like a Babylonian invasion from a different era. But I don't know. I think they're midrashim about Lilith.
All right, guys. So I mean, okay, yeah, I don't know how to rephrase this question, so maybe I just won't ask it. But Lilith did, according to legend, precede Chava.
I don't know. I don't know what people say. Like,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
like Lilith. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that Lilith is really like a Jewish idea specifically. I think it's more an idea. Like, it's more like demonology and angelology. I think demonology and angelology are like different spiritual beings that get picked up, sometimes put into the narrative, sometimes made accord with the narratives, like angels that get jobs and stuff. Like Metatron. Metatron is not like a Hebrew word. That's a very like Greek term.
Right.
But like as a concept, yeah, there probably is a highest angel that speaks for God because God doesn't change.
Hierarchy. I gotta see.
So like Lilith, it's definitely not in the verses. Like the first one is Chava.
Right.
But in the Midrash, I don't know what you could find. Like Midrash is like a whole big thing, and it doesn't have to follow any rules. I shouldn't say it doesn't have to follow any rules. It has its own rules that don't really have to correspond with much of anything.
Yeah. Well, for M's benefit, M, are you still there? M's not answering.
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah.
Okay. Are you familiar with the term midrash?
No.
Big Zed, do you want to explain that, or should I? First of all, I'll tell you, M, that it's similar to the Arabic root mudaras. Daras being like a lesson.
Yeah.
All right, so midrash.
The taught of schools, I think.
Right. No.
That's a Medrash.
Medrash. But I'm going with the root. Okay, but I'm going with the root of darash, which is, medrash, midrash, derivation of that word. So a midrash is like it's kind of like a lore, or when I say lore, is that offensive, a story that explains something.
No, it's kind of like fan fiction.
It's kind of what?
It's kind of like fan fiction.
All right, that's a good term, man.
Right, meaning there's an accepted story, let's say Star Wars: A New Hope, and there's some like obvious necessary stories that we're not tracking. Like we don't know where Han Solo is right before Tatooine. We don't know what Luke's use is like. We don't know what Darth Vader looks like without the mask. If we just have that.
Right.
So fan fiction fills in the gaps, and it is loyal to the text because it's trying to elaborate on the text. Midrash is like that, except it has a bit more weight. Sometimes it's got traditional value. Sometimes it's picking up on nuances, like Han Solo killing that guy, that bounty hunter.
I just love the sci-fi reference.
Right? No, meaning that comes out of nowhere. Like, we see that Han Solo's a dangerous character and that someone's after his life and he kills him, but we don't know what their background is. It could be that this man did this and that, and Han Solo, meaning the story itself is naturally leaving open these bits as implications. And that's fine. That's the proper way of the story. The story doesn't want to be clear unless it does later.
And it does come out with the values,
that's why fan fiction is valuable, because it's elaborating on both of those. I can take it 12 different ways because it was left there intentionally ambiguous.
Alright, so let's I'll give you an example. First of all, I'll give you what other. Okay, we have the Mikra. Mikra means the Torah, what we read. Okay, the Mikra comes from the word Kara, which is like Quran. You're familiar with that, right, Ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay. Mishnah comes from the word help me out, make sense. The shanen, right? To review, to repeat.
Yeah, I guess.
And that's
Shinoi is new, right?
Mishnah. You're saying that it comes from Mishnah?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they seem related.
Oh, yeah. No, then I'm learning. That's interesting. No, Ralph doesn't agree.
Well, because obviously we're not going to say that the Mishnah is new.
No.
Which is why I think review is probably closest.
I'm thinking, okay, Lishanen in Hebrew may, like when you sharpen something, or Mishaneh, like I said it wrong, Mishaneh. Okay, the next one would be Midrash. Drash would be like an explanation or like telling a story or
To derive.
explanation.
Drasha.
Derive? Is that what a drasha is?
Drasha? Derive.
Alright, we got a thumbs up there. So there's a midrash, a story about Abraham, which you mentioned earlier, Ibrahim, right?
Yeah.
And this is one of the, I bring this up because it's so essential to Judaism, I think. And that makes sense that Rob has heard this story and maybe others in the room. It's a story about Abraham's father, was named Sarah.
100% happened.
Oh, it happened? Okay.
No
Happened or
question
recovered?
in my mind at all.
Okay,
Oh,
the
it's
story goes like
happened.
this.
Okay, yeah.
Alright, the story goes like this, and if any mistakes, correct me along the way, because I heard this 45 years ago, 50 years ago, but, okay, so Abraham's father had like an idol shop, right? This is occurring in Mesopotamia 2000 before the Common Era. So he tells his son Abraham, he says, I'm going to go into town, or I'm going to be away for a little bit. I want you to keep eyes and watch over the shop. Oh my God, what happened here? I took the light in the store. Abraham says, all these idols had a fight over the apple, and that one won. So the father got very upset. He says, they can't do anything like that. They can't move. They can't fight. They can't do anything. So then Abraham said, well, then why do people pray to them? Why do you sell these things? Why you pray to them? They can't be God. Is that the way to tell the story?
Yes, but that's halfway through the story.
Oh, that's halfway to the story? Okay.
Yeah, his father can't deal with him because he's such a smart aleck. So he takes him to the king, to Nimrod.
Oh.
And then Nimrod goes on this like a classic fairy tale story of saying, it's an argument, it's a debate. He says, over here in Kasdim, we worship fire. Will you worship the fire, Abraham? And he goes, no, can't worship fire because water puts it out. And then from water, he goes to clouds. From clouds, he goes to wind. From wind, he goes to mountains. From mountains, he goes to man. Man minds the mountain. And then the king says, okay, you want to say you're a man, bigger, stronger than a mountain, stronger than the wind, stronger than the cloud, stronger than the water, stronger than the fire. We'll throw you in the fire and test.
Yeah, I remember this now. So they were
He was miraculously saved by the fire, but his brother Haran died by the fire in the lifetime of his father in Ur Kasdim. That is where we get Lot and Sarah.
Well, what's interesting is when we B'Tanya Tokef visit, when we pray who by fire, who by water, who by...
Yeah.
That's a Leonard Cohen song too, by the way, but yeah.
Well, isn't
The whole thing when Avram had the trial with Nimrod by the Tower of Babel, his brother dies. He takes Lot and Sarah and leaves his father's house.
So you see, the essence of that story is that Judaism believes that God is omnipotent and no one is stronger than God. And
you know what's funny, Ethan? In Islam, we have like the same story, but some details are different, but it's the same story.
I know.
I'm not joking. Because the difference is like that they put Abraham on a catapult and they threw him in the fire because the fire was so big that if a bird was to fly over the fire, they're gonna die, like instant burn. And then we believed like that God sent an angel, and the angel said to the fire, "Be cold." So that's the only different then. Yeah. But like the story about like they that Abraham break the idols, yeah, that was the same. That's the basic of monotheism. Yeah.
That is the basis of monotheism. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my personal opinion, I think, is that Islam is a lot more monotheistic than Christianity. I mean, I think.
Come on, it's not that hard to be more monotheistic than Christianity.
That's a good point.
So
Come on, like deists are more monotheistic than Christianity, and they're heretics.
You know what's crazy is I don't know why people are defending Trinity. I don't. It's crazy. How can you say that?
I actually think that Trinitarian thought is part of a delineation between Christianity and Judaism. Christianity actually has to insulate itself from becoming too Jewish. And the big sticking point is whether you accept their second God, the God Son, which is really the Godfather and also the Holy Spirit, because it's really just right. You can always determine when a Christian sect is getting too non-Christian based upon Trinity. It's a litmus test.
It's also the triangle, meaning that it's Pythagorean. So it's also like a catalyst or a wench. You know, there's all these symbols. I was gonna go back to, you said, you know, earth, air, wind, water, fire. When Lot, what was the biblical story? Lot left. I can't remember what you said exactly, but
Abraham was brought to trial before Nimrod because of his disrespect to his father's idolatry shop, and his brother and he were on trial, and he survived the trial, but his brother did not.
so I was gonna say that, you know, the rod is like an occult symbol, meaning that we are, you know, black poles, or we are poles. And then the second thing is earth, air, water, fire. Those four symbols in occult symbolism represent God. That those four elements is the secret name of God, like Yahweh or something.
Like God, the name of God. Well, which is the name of God? Republican.
Meaning that this true name of God is the four major elements: earth, air, water, fire. Without those four, you wouldn't have the base reality.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, Nimrod's an interesting character because isn't he the first one really to?
That's what Joe Biden named his son after, Hunter Biden. It's the same thing. It's the first hunter, meaning that.
Did I ever tell you the story of how Nimrod came to being stupid?
Oh, that's interesting because I know that it does mean that. Well, how did it come to mean that?
It's because children don't understand sarcasm. Okay? Nimrod has always meant a great hunter, because the Bible says Nimrod was a great hunter. In Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny sarcastically refers to Elmer Fudd as a Nimrod because he's a terrible hunter. But since the children don't understand sarcasm and they could pick up from context that he was insulting him by calling him Nimrod, they just assume it means stupid.
Oh yeah, that's fascinating.
I love that story.
Well, you know, in stuff written like 50, maybe more, like 70, 80 years ago, they had biblical references that people actually knew because they actually read their Bible more back then.
The adults did. The children didn't know. And at some point, the religion died off, and Nimrod becomes stupid.
Right. Well, Nimrod, because
I have a question about Nimrod, because is Nimrod a good person or not?
Wow,
No.
wow, wait a minute. Let's go by his name. The meaning of his name, Nimrod, means we will rebel. It means to rebel.
Because I read something about Nimrod that he did something to a prophet. I don't know what it was.
Well, he did try to kill Abraham, so that's a mark
Right.
against
Was
his
that
record.
Oh, that was okay. Yeah, I read something that said, why this guy is.
The Tower,
There's a lot of interest in Nimrod.
The Tower of Babel, I think it was Nimrod's project,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
So,
He
you
had
know
an
the
idea
story
for uniting the world in a giant tower.
You know the story of the Tower of Babel, Em?
read a little bit, but maybe you can explain more because I don't have a lot of knowledge about that.
He created the first AI super quantum computer and called it Babel.
Yeah, it's right there in the text.
Well, it comes very early in Genesis, the Bible, and I think in the Torah they're making like they're setting like a narrative. Okay, first we see what God can do. He created everything, and then we are, as people of the next chapter, we are assigned as His partners, dominion over the world. And then I think the next part would be with Nimrod, the arrogance that came afterwards. And his whole bit is, I think, arrogance, because he wanted to build a tower to get up to God. And I think God, of course, won that one. And he destroyed the tower, and all the people started speaking different languages instead of the one language. This is a punishment. And God was basically showing the people and Nimrod who's really the boss who runs the show. From this, we get the English term to babble. Babble, to like, you know what babbling is, right? Is to speak nonsense. And in Hebrew,
can you explain me?
babble. Okay, babble.
Useless discourse.
Useless discourse. Basically the bread and butter of Clubhouse. But
yeah, running your mouth.
Oh, okay.
Although put in context, Abraham was roughly 40 at the construction of the Tower of Babel.
Right.
And read liberally, it's basically saying this attempt to get all of the peoples of the world into one tower in agreement doesn't work. They have different ways of
it reminds me of the beginning of the state of Israel. It only had like 600,000 people. You can do things. I mean, 600,000 people when they had like demonstrations.
And I'll tell you, 600,000, that seems a little high as an estimate for me.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about 48, but you want to talk about 1917 or 1920s when my parents came, my grandparents came.
I was talking about the era of Joshua.
Oh, I was talking about the modern Israel, but okay, yeah. So Babel, the name of the place Babel means Bab in Arabic and in Babylonian, and probably means the gate, the door.
Yeah, the gate. Yeah.
There's also something known as the cult of Bob, or it's almost like the cult of Babel. In Persia, there was somebody named Bob, the cult of Bob.
Or Bubelet. I like the cult of Bubelet. Or Bubelet. And they squeeze your cheeks. And
but Eitan, before you go further, what do you think about like the name Abraham, and then Abraham Lincoln? Do you think that Abraham Lincoln maybe even propagandized his name in order to achieve his political goals?
What do you mean
that? I wouldn't, because he was known as Honest Abe, and he had this biblical name, and the name, what kind of name? I mean, the father of a nation, which is, how appropriate is that? And I don't know that he changed his name, but I mean, it is what's the word you say? Anecdotal. Is that the word I'm looking for here? It does add. It adds to the facts. It adds something to the story.
I'll say regardless of anything, like that man made America what it is today, more than a lot of the founders.
Abraham, yeah, and he unified, and Abraham. They say he might have been Jewish, but I don't know.
They do say that. Yeah, I hear that. He was
Look at his
friends
features.
with a Jewish con man, I believe, who was a podiatrist. He took a book that wasn't published in America, then published it in America under his own name, and he used him, I think, to gain intel on the South a bit, because the South had a very prominent Jewish lawyer, sort of like leading the charge of the secession.
Oh, was that not Judah B. Benjamin?
Yeah, I think so.
I know that the podiatrist could have been a.
Oh, no. The podiatrist wasn't Judah Benjamin. Judah Benjamin was like the muckety-muck of the South. The podiatrist guy was a confidant. Like, Lincoln trusted him. He was like, yeah, this is a good guy. And he, used him for intel on.
I think he had a Sephardic name, too. I think his name was Castro, but I don't know that for sure. There were a lot of Sephardic Jews in America at the time.
Yeah, more Sephardic than Ashkenazim at that point.
At that point, yeah. So when Washington spoke to the Jewish synagogue. It was a Spanish Portuguese synagogue.
But like he was a known con man. Like he was not like a good podiatrist or something. At least that's what history reports.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I think podiatry was not even accepted as a science at that point in America.
Why
I mean, weird stuff happens in early countries.
Why am I thinking of the dentist in Django? You remember that movie? Did you see?
Yeah, I saw Django. Great movie.
That's a great actor too. What's his name? Christoph
Waltz, Austrian.
Austrian, and he has this very pro-Israeli, pro-Jewish. I don't know if it's like a compensatory kind of thing because he's dramatic, but I've seen him be very, very pro-Israel in certain ways.
Well, he acted as a fictional, aggressively evil Nazi, so he probably feels a bit of moral responsibility to oppose Nazi ideas.
Right, yeah.
What was the name of that character in Inglourious Bastards?
Oh, yeah, I have to look it up.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. He was amazing, though, in that movie. And he captured what I've heard many survivors talk about, the, like, cruelty of politeness.
Oh, that's so true. Oh, it's so true about
Yeah.
He had a beautiful, gleaming smile on his face in, like, every conversation as he's hunting people to death.
You know, that reminds me of Hannibal Lecter. You know, Hannibal Lecter was so even-tempered, and he'd look at you, and he was no body language, no change in tone, complete control, what's the word, temperate? I don't remember.
Yeah, he plays a different style of evil. He's like the sophisticate who is merely studying humanity, which is why he's fine with eating it. The Nazi guy, he was being like a good, polite person under his perspective. He's hunting enemies of the state, he's good at it, and he enjoys his job.
Oh, yeah. It cracked me up when they asked him if he ever was in New England, and he said, I had many good meals there.
Right? I'll have
Guys, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you very much, and hopefully another time we can speak about some other topics.
Yeah, come into Rob's rooms. Occasionally I might do my own room. My rooms are mostly maybe not as religiously based as Rob, and not as politically based as other rooms, but they're more like even later in a few hours, I would say like maybe 5.5 hours, I might start reading this book called True Scholar History. If you want to hear a book reading and people discuss what they hear, go on for about an hour or so. It's a primer on Judaism. Then I give Hebrew classes occasionally. But yeah, be in touch. Love to have you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, good day.
Bye-bye. It's refreshing when you have someone curious come in like that. He's a nice guy, it sounds like.
Yeah, you can't study so well without a good student.
Yeah, that's well put. Yeah. Well, he wants to know about Judaism. I didn't know where to turn him to. I don't know. He lives in Holland. I mean, I don't know if he could. Yeah, I don't know if you could send this guy to Chabad. They want to deal with someone like him. I mean, they would deal with outreach.
Holland is a weird place. Like their development of religion, that's sort of the birthplace of secularism.
Yeah,
you do hold your beliefs. They're totally fine. We don't express them at all in public because that could be offensive to people. So we just keep it at home.
Very interesting. Yeah. Was that influenced by Spinoza's pantheism, or was that just a similarity?
I wouldn't say Spinoza per se, but he's part of that era. With all the influx of Jews and people wanting to be merchants and them kind of existing in between Germany, England, and France and playing those people off each other and trying to gain political power. Like, the history of the Netherlands is interesting. Very particularized. And they had certain, let's say, cultural insight and development in mercantilism beyond your culture and community.
Right. Interesting.
America is somewhat founded on, New Amsterdam. The mixture between the Dutch and the English in Manhattan is part of formation of the state of New York and the Americas.
Oh yeah. Wall Street, I heard, was the wall between the two of them, or something like that.
Yeah, more than that, they were at war with each other, like on paper, like 3 or 4 times, back and forth, and it switched hands. Like, you have to imagine, if England and the Netherlands are at war, and their colonies are neighbors, that starts to look like a hypocrisy to the people in Manhattan. They go like, okay, I should hate this guy now? Where am I going to get my cows from?
Exactly, it's funny. Well, I started reading this really thick book. I forgot what the author was called. New York. I don't know if you heard of this. It's like a fiction book, but it's like historical fiction, and it goes through. It's kind of like Michener's The Source. You ever hear that book, Michener? What's his name, James Michener? Not that I'm mentioning high quality literature people, but he wrote a book called The Source, and he covers the whole span in historical fiction way of Judaism. It's one of the classics.
There were some really cool early Jews in the Americas. I think the first one in New York, not the first one, maybe the second one, became a prominent attorney. Like he became very successful. His claim to fame was the Dutch wanted to do like the standard Dimmy move of saying the Jews can't serve as soldiers. Instead, they have to pay a tax. They pay this little burden, and then that's it. And he refused. He refused to pay the tax. He said, I'm only going to stand on the wall. I want to defend the state just like everyone else. And the governor said, absolutely not. The Council of New York was like, get the hell out of here, you stupid Jew. He appealed to the Dutch East India Company, and they let him do it. And then he kind of made his way arguing for people in front of courts. He really developed New York law.
You know, here's a Jew they don't talk about enough. Haim Salomon, the philanthropist. I think he gave so much money to the Continental Forces that basically financed most of their war. So in some goofy way, it's like, they always say they give money to Israel, but it's like, here's a case where a Jew gave all this money to America, never got it back, by the way. Today, if they paid his family, his descendants, they didn't get to the trillions, the worth of the money that he gave. And he was a Polish Jew, but they say he was a Sephardic Polish Jew, which I find kind of interesting. I heard there was that phenomenon. Sephardic Haim Salomon. Yeah. Of course, Emma Lazarus was the one who wrote that inscription on the Statue of Liberty, right? Give me your tired, your poor. Yeah, made our contribution to America. I have like no ambition today. What do you do, Mixed, if you just have one of these sluggish days? Any secrets, anything?
What do you mean?
How do you get out of it?
How do I get out of this sluggish day?
Yeah, just like get out of the sluggishness.
I don't know.
Okay.
I usually follow the path of least resistance. Like, if I don't have anything to do, that's like a good thing. I take that to rest. And I get out of sluggishness because imperative things pop up that need to be done.
Sure. When it needs to get done, it needs to get done. It needs to be done. Well, you know what it is? It's so hot in Israel. My air conditioning isn't working. So I need to get that fixed. That should get me moving. I don't know what the degrees right now in Israel is. Tel Aviv. It's pretty high up. Feels like in the 90s actually right now.
Hot days. I guess jump from shady area to shady area. That feels like the best advice.
Oh yeah, or air conditioned places, but yeah, shady areas. I love being outside when
But
it's not
then,
working.
there's also an imperative there because the middle of the day is coming. So get whatever you can done in the morning. Grab yourself a worthy siesta, and then finish some stuff in the evening.
Oh yeah, that's not a bad idea actually. Yeah. Yeah, well, we call this in Israel schnatz.
What is schnatz?
Shenat. It's like a Shina is Shan and Tza is Tzorai. Shinat Tzorai. Schnatz.
So
They
that
claim
review the afternoon?
it's like a siesta. No, not review. No. Shina. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it. Shina.
Oh, Shana, like sleep nap.
Schlafen, yeah, sleeping in the afternoon.
At
For
least
some reason, and I'm coming with this background that I know all Mediterranean countries have like a siesta, but for some reason they say that it was the Ashkenazis that brought this idea to Israel, which I can't see it. So a lot of times, a lot of like your local grocery store that's like family-owned store, all these like mom and pop shops will close between 2 and 4 p.m.
Yeah, that's like an Italian thing.
Yeah. They'll go home, and, shower up maybe, eat something with the family.
Like, I don't think the Germans or the French do that, but I think I've been to Italy, and they definitely shut down the whole state at noon.
Yeah, they love their. Is it noon or is it like a little after?
Well, wherever, whatever.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But Israel's become more like America. I mean, now they got these big malls. They don't even want to know about this sleeping in the afternoon bed. Everything's becoming very Americanized here, which in its own way, you're not
Tel
giving
Aviv is trying to compete with New York.
Yeah. There's definitely that going on. They didn't have this overrated gay pride march this year. I think they had it confined to a park because they didn't want to attract attention to the war and all that. But I wonder how long that's going to go on. I mean,
The war?
no, the gay pride issue.
You saw that they got Shlomi, right?
Shlomi came back. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were actually they were out on the streets and people were with the flags and they were like chanting. Yeah. Then we celebrated here for sure. It's great that he's back. Yeah, I'm hoping he's going to get on the app and talk to us. He's got a lot going on right now.
Yeah, as late as like a month or two ago, I saw some pro-pally guy putting his profile pic up.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh,
like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be, they have no boundaries. No boundaries. I mean, we're talking about my friend here,
Yeah, we spoke with him, and they're just like, haha, we got him. Seriously, fuck off.
There's no, any room I go into. Sometimes I specifically try to run away from political. I just want to try something different, and then they pick up on the name Eitan, and they're all like Ravens or whatever, Crow or whatever.
Yeah, that's why in the modern era we don't really have choices to be Jews. We just are.
We just are.
Yep.
I'm reading the Sefer HaAgadah. It says here, and he had him go forth beyond Genesis 15:15. When Abraham spoke up to God, Master of the universe. That's what Abraham said to God. He said, "Rabboinai Shalom." I look in the sign of the zodiac that guides my destiny, and found I am not destined to have a son. The Holy One replied, "Go forth beyond what you see in the stars. No sign of the zodiac has powers over Israel."
Yep.
Abraham, to me, it's like the first couple letters of the alphabet, abracadabra. It's like A, B, C, D. So it's I guess an illusion, or not an illusion, but it's related to the sacred mystic alphabet, meaning that like the way that God created the universe is essentially the name Abraham.
I mean, you're missing some letters.
Why? Abracadabra, Abraham. I mean, it's the same mystical formula. Or
What did he say about the Agadah? I just stepped up for a second here.
He was just referencing the old magic words from the Gemara, which was used for Avada Kedavra in Harry Potter.
That was right.
Abore Kedibre. I create as I say.
Right.
Yeah.
Where are you going with Abraham? Because you ever remember Archie Bunker told Edith a Jewish name's not supposed to have it. Yeah, he said a Jewish name's not supposed to have any ham in it.
Well, that's the greatest
Yeah.
Jewish dilemma: is a free ham sandwich.
If you McZed, I don't know how much of '70s sitcoms you know about, but maybe
No,
Republican.
before my time. I see clips every once in a while from all the family,
Right,
but
right.
I feel like I want to watch it. It feels like a great show.
I think yeah. I mean, watch like the first maybe 2 seasons or just first season. But there's funny episodes that you just take. One is one that deals with. It's always dealing with Jewish subjects too, because the producer.
Norman Lear, right?
Yeah. So there's one where Archie doesn't know this. We're talking about being Jewish in the '70s, and his best friend is named Stretch Cunningham. And this guy, works with him in the factory, and he comes home every night from work, and he talks about all these jokes that Stretch Cunningham. He just loves this guy. And it turns out that one day this guy dies, and he has to go to his funeral. But he has no idea
That he's Jewish.
that he's Jewish.
That's a funny setup.
He gets to the funeral home. They open the door, and you see like a rabbi, and you see them saying, maybe was it? I don't remember what they're saying. And then, Archie's like, I think we're at the wrong place. And then Edith says, well, maybe he was Jewish, maybe Stretch was Jewish. And he goes, no, his name is Stretch Cunningham. A Jewish name's not supposed to have any ham in it. And then they read his real name, which was something Shimon Cohenheimer or something like that.
Cohenheimer, right?
Oh, God, yeah. It was a funny show. But then Archie gives one of the funniest eulogies. It's funny saying that about eulogy. Yeah, there's like a 3-minute clip on it. Just Archie Bunker eulogizes Stretch Cunningham. Tells this really silly joke. See if I can reconstruct that joke. It goes like this. Priest goes to Rabbi and says, how come you're not allowed to eat pork? The rabbi says, it's forbidden. It's not kosher. We're not allowed to do that. And then the rabbi asks the priests, how come you guys aren't allowed to have sex? And he goes, well, it's forbidden. We're not allowed to. We're supposed to have a life of abstinence and whatnot. So the rabbi goes, you ought to try it. It's better than pork.
It's good.
Yeah. I mean, that show, again, when it gets towards any show that after a number of years, I mean, that show was on for 11 seasons. But I think towards the 6th season, it started getting kind of incoherent. And it had a number of spin-offs. It had, you remember that show, Vaughn? Again, I know I'm talking like boomer stuff to your 70s TV shows, which may not mean anything, but Jefferson, all these shows were spin-offs of Archie Bunker. Right. He acted the part. He's just a great. And he was it was the number 1 show in Israel when I was a kid, and he was amazed at that. He'd tell everybody. He was very proud. He goes, my show is the number 1 show in Israel. Believe it or not.
Yeah, because they addressed racism, bigotry, and anti-Semitism like head on. They're just like, let's make a likable, kind of a curmudgeonly bigot that like we can all find a corollary in our family or friend circle. And just roll with it because it's funny.
Oh, yeah. And then there was this other episode where somebody paints a swastika on Archie's house. And it turns out it was a mistake. They thought they were painting a swastika. They thought he was painting a swastika on his neighbor's, like his Jewish neighbor's house or something. He hears all the comments. He's like a Jew for half an hour. It's really interesting.
That happened when I was in Rochester. My wife was in pharmacy school, so she had a bunch of friends from pharmacy school. One of the kids was from Germany, and a kid from America, nice kid, right? Really friendly. I still like the guy, but just a little dim. Like, nicest guy, not the smartest bulb. He painted a swastika on that guy's door because he thought it was funny because the guy was German.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and like the guy obviously did not like it. He did not think it was funny. He thought it was awful. And so Mike like comes to me and he goes like, "Hey, is this like really a problem? Like, isn't this all like done and dealt with? Like, I think it's funny because of course he's not a Nazi." I was like, "I don't think it's as done as you might think."
Right. Wow. Yeah. Nazis.
It still happens. Just it only comes from like ignorance. Like I said, Mike was not trying to engage in a hate crime. He was like drunk and stupid and was like, Germans.
Yeah.
What do I know about Germans? The
Right,
symbol."
right. You know, it's the same thing where I think was it Prince Harry when he was a young guy, like 20 or something, he went to a party dressed up as a Nazi Gestapo or something.
Okay, his family actually does ties to the Nazis.
Oh yeah, they have. I know they have.
Right, the Edward the Abdicator. He was like in the tank for the Nazis. More really Germany, but like it was a whole question.
I got a great movie for you.
Likely been on German side.
I got a great movie for you. It's called Remains of the Day, and it's about a British royal who aids the Nazis, and it's with who's that famous English actor from Silence of the Lambs? He played Hannibal Lecter. Hopkins. So Anthony Hopkins plays a butler of like he's totally OCD, and he runs the whole show on behalf of this potentate in London, and he falls in love with this other woman who works in the same house. She does the gardening or whatever, but they never touch each other, but they have the most intimate relationship. And
oh my god, this is so British.
Yeah, and then at the very end, like as they're dying and getting old, he makes a journey to go see her at some port town. They still don't reconcile their love affair. It's just like it's such a great movie though, but it deals with the fact that this British lord was organizing on behalf of the Nazis, and he served the big party where all the other British potentates came to hear his plan, and it's all about the butler's involvement in helping organize this big affair.
Wow. Yeah, people don't understand the whole Nazi thing, and it's getting frustrating.
Yeah.
They don't understand anti-Semitism.
Tell them Ashkenazi. Why is Nazi in Ashkenazi? And they have no idea that it's an acronym. You know, they don't know history. They've never ever, really attempted to. It could take a whole lifetime. There's just so much information out there. How can you expect anyone to be a responsible person to actually spend their time researching things as opposed to just scrolling and consuming digital content?
Right. Well, I didn't want to bring up an ugly chapter in Israel's history, but back in the early 80s, there was an election, with Menachem Begin. And Menachem Begin took advantage of something the Labor Party Entertainment said in one of their, rallies. And so, it was this whole riff. What he said was very insulting to some Mizrahi Jews. And Menachem Begin kind of switched it around to get all these Sephardic people angry at the Labor Party, which is primarily Ashkenazi. And then, overnight, this term, Ashkenazi, and swastikas and Ashkenazi, it was a very terrible time. And, it spilled over, of course. The term Ashkenazi has been noted. When I was a kid, the big thing was the Nazis marching in my town in Skopje, Illinois. You remember that? No, you don't remember that. You were born then. But I'm sure you heard of the Republican.
Yeah. I went to high school in Skopje. I went to Niles West.
Oh, okay. Niles West.
It's on Oak.
Skokie was when my mom stopped supporting the ACLU because they defended the Nazis' right to march.
Yeah, that exactly. He was. I don't want to say he was a genius. That guy, Nazi guy, Count, which they later found out that he had a Jewish father who hid that fact. He was afraid of anti-Semitism. There was infighting.
It's kind of funny. You got to be half Jewish to be smart enough.
I was just gonna say, that's kind of funny.
I would say more. You should understand your own history or risk becoming a hypocrite.
Somebody told me on this app that, I don't know the name of the person, anyways, it is one of those things where, I mean, they even speculate that Hitler was, a patrilineal Jew.
Well, you're talking about Europe.
Or maybe that's not true.
A lot of Europeans, they found out like I don't know, 1/6 of Spain has got some Jewish blood in their veins. Something ridiculously high like that. A lot of intermarriage that wasn't heard of.
So I wanted to read you something I picked out of the Sefer HaAgadah about peace, and this comes from Traits and Attitudes. It's called Peace and Strife. It says, Rabban Simeon ben Gamaliel said, the world endures on three things: justice, truth, and peace. Rabbi Simeon ben Halafta said, the Holy One found no vessel that could contain Israel's blessings except for peace. As it is said, in the Lord's wish to give enduring strength to his people, the Lord blessed his people with peace. And then it goes on and on and on about the concept of peace, being one of the three components of enduring the world. So that's why I heard this rabbi say, there's no sin in Torah so terrible as anger. And I'll tell you, I find that to be so true. That anger is like that quote from the movie Dune, it is the ultimate mind killer.
Yeah. Which movie?
Dune, the first one, the 80s one.
I don't think it's anger. I think it's fear.
Yeah. Same thing. What's different? The Yoda says anger leads to fear, fear leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. It's the same successive, emotional. What I'm just saying is on this app, in terms of mood disorder and mood swings, you can see how people here don't have peace. But I would just say that the Christian concept, that Christians are closer to this concept of peace than, perhaps, well, I mean, anyways, my point is Buddhists seem to have figured out the concept of peace. Hindus, for the most part, seem to have figured out the concept of peace. But no peace, no justice does seem to be the underlying current in, in Islam, or militant Islam, or political Islam.
Resist.
So resistance, it also goes on here that if you're not doing acts on behalf of heaven, even if there's Jews engaged in idolatry, if they're united, it's only when they're ununited or disunited that the punishment comes in. It's what it says in here. So it's amazing how
there's proof for that historically. Like the Jews were engaged in idolatry within the First Kingdom, but they were united. Even then, they weren't like fully united. They were united in a civil war against each other. But they had both camps and they respected each other, right? They kind of created like party politics a little bit.
So how can the world not recognize that Jews have essentially, to me, Judaism and Hinduism, it's the exact same. I mean, it's not the exact same thing, but I mean, it's the same thing in the sense that it's a fully completed system, meaning it's economic, it's religious, it's political, it's legal. That's the biggest aspect. But like I just said here, that peace, truth, and justice are the three pillars. But what I'm saying is, why can't people recognize that Judaism, even though there's only, let's say, 20 million Jews or 30 million Jews or whatever the number is, it's no different than any other. Then it's no different than Hinduism in the sense that, like, I just can't understand why people. But anyways, the whole thing is the psychological component.
Because Judaism is the foundation of the destruction of everyone's indigenous religion because of Christianity. Right? Well, should the Germans be worshiping a dead Jew from Israel, or should they be studying about Thor and the teachings of Odin?
So are you saying that the Jews take the blame for the Christians because the Christians? Yeah. So Jews hold the bag, and that's the.
Yeah, because of this universalist idea that, like, we were opposed, we still are, to idolatry for our sake. Like, we study our thing. We're fine with Hindu going being Hindu, just like leave us out of it. But the Christians really took that global and went on an ethnic cleansing of the different idolatries around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why other people don't have like a complete unique system that their ancestors were founded on. There are ancient Nordic customs for showing respect and care to your guest. but all of that's irrelevant because it's paganistic nonsense and we worship the dead Jew from Israel now.
How did they get away with it? I mean, how did Christians? Because
They had Rome on the side. You gotta realize it's not like just Christian. Like Rome was moving, and also people are quick to abandon their histories if there's a better technique. They will start acting like the people that are conquering them, and the Romans were ahead of them, so they took on their cultures and religion. But Rome had a pieced together religion that it kind of grabbed by fiat because they were really more interested in conquest. So it just becomes Christianity. At some point, like Ishtar was very important to the Roman legions, and you have like temples up in Germany, but that fell away. Like the one thing that held was monotheism, and the Christian brand of it is the one that's actually approachable to all the people. So it wipes away all their culture. They lose the source of their morality, and inherent within their new system of morality is that the Jewish story is over, and the one Jew that we should worry about is the dead Jew. That's the correct Jew.
I read that the legions, had their own cults, and because the legions traveled the world, they brought their own LARP with them everywhere they went. So the cult of Mendes, and then what's the sun one, the big one?
Osiris?
Not Osiris. There's a television show on HBO. You should watch it. It's called Raised by Wolves. It's on HBO, and it's about an android who has this superpower. And
that, I think.
Yeah, but
That was like they had like 2 seasons. It was kind of a of Alien.
Exactly. It was essentially a war between atheists and the cult of Mithras, which is myth. So what I'm trying to say is that, as media connoisseurs and media creators or distributors, I mean, the content is always going to be there no matter what. Like, even if you lose all the content, you're just going to recreate new content. And I'm not trying to, to have a conversation about atheism versus theism or things like that, but I'm just saying that with, like, when I have this book, the Book of Legends, Sefer HaAgadah, Legends from the Talmud and the Midrash, like, it's so vast that there's so much thought in it that anybody who rejects it, denies it, or hates it's always just a lack of intelligence or education or lack of possession, which is also at the root of their ignorance. So it does go back to, they have no peace because they're materially poor, in the sense that they don't have access to any wisdom or knowledge to help get them above the threshold of their hate and their ignorance and their despair, I suppose. I mean, do you not view all these ceasefire genocide psychopaths as being essentially mentally poor?
I think that people's wisdom grows with age, and it's also true of communities of people. And I think that when you hit the reset clock on your cultural history, you make your kids dumber. Unless it's really good. Like Abraham, disavowed his teachings. He just said, no, idolatry's wrong. And that was a gamble. His children were young, globally speaking, for long. But
but isn't the concept of like, I had an Indian friend who had a little, statue in his cupboard, and I mean, to me, that's like implicit idolatry. But what about, that's explicit idolatry? What about the implicit idolatry and everything else that we do? I mean, anything.
It's not like Christians don't have statues of their God on their wall.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is that the implicit idolatry of useless discourse or bauble is the real idolatry. The toy in the cupboard is not the idolatry. It's the time that you use your mind on. Like, what are you really doing with your life? Like, that's the real idolatry. That's what you're really trying to eliminate from the diet of holiness.
Yeah, there's truth there.
So that always kind of goes to my point where you're such a literalist. You really want to build the temple, but the truth is, before you build the temple, you have to help all these Talmud Chacham build their minds, which is the ultimate temple of preservation. So, I mean,
Let me ask you this: how are you going to build the minds of Talmidei Chachamim to build a temple without talking about the temple to the Chachamim?
because it's one to one, meaning that if you know the inner workings and the architecture of the temple, that's what you want to mirror in your mind's eye with your education and your actions, your speech, your thought, your outcome. I mean,
Yeah, the only way to do that is to think about it practically and in reality. That's how we plan things.
right,
It exists first within the mind, always before it exists in reality.
right, but I'm just saying that building the temple is not the first step in the material world in Jerusalem.
No, it's not the first step. It's like the last step. Come on. It's like the last step.
It's not a real pragmatic step though. The
I'll tell
pragmatic
you the pragmatic step. We can reform the Sanhedrin today if we want to.
where in Israel?
That's a pragmatic step. The Jews.
It could be online though. I mean, you could do it right now.
Yeah.
You could just open a clown house room and call it Sanhedrin. I mean, done. You did it. Like you done. Get a minion and you got it.
That's not complete. You need to regain the legal weight. The legal weight comes from consensus, from an agreement as to who knows how to teach the Torah correctly. If the Jews can agree on one person who knows how to teach the Torah correctly, that guy can have students.
Well, isn't the Sanhedrin a council though? Why does it have to be one person? Because aren't you saying that that's Mashiach?
No, the Sanhedrin is a council. You can't have a Sanhedrin until you're up to 70. But once you have one guy, you have the Somech, someone that has actual legal weight to tell everyone what the Torah is getting at.
Yeah, but shouldn't that person's activities actually be in terms of communication and education as opposed to just being the chat GPT of the community?
I mean, those are the same thing.
It's
like,
not.
ChatGPT is becoming the educator.
You're asking for somebody to consolidate 20,000 pages of information into 2 paragraphs. It's
no.
What you're at.
No,
what
no. I'm not consolidating anything other than the entirety of Torah into one person.
what I'm.
There's no paragraph.
I get it. I get it. But what I'm trying to say is, how could you put all the onus on one person? That just seems.
Not. That's what I'm telling you. That one guy has proper authority. First of all, the onus is on the entirety of the Jewish people. They have the ability at any time to just agree that this guy is a proper teacher. He knows exactly what Moshe was getting at. We all know this guy is reading the Torah. If they can say that about one person, that person can say it about other people, and that has greater legal weight because that has the affirmation of the entire community. Right? Because we don't know which of his students are right. We don't know which of the teachers is right. But if we were to agree that we all are on board with one teacher, then suddenly that guy is empowered to speak on behalf of the community.
I know, but just listen how ridiculous it sounds. Like, no, you don't need a consensus of the Jews or of a body to dedicate one person as the imprimatur, or the top dog. What I'm trying to say is that if that person is the top dog, that person's life, his example, his leadership is explicit. So people just will mirror their lives off of that person's, wholly illuminated state. So there doesn't have to be a consensus. It's just, you need Ubermen.
If we have law in America, like what's the Supreme Court? What about this nonsense with Trump, right? Just like angry DAs, angry judges.
I know, but go back to what you were saying about the Sanhedrin and what that would mean for Israel. But I just don't understand. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. But it's always a very fascinating conversation. I bet you scored really high on your SATs.
Other Supreme Court, and the only way a Supreme Court works is with authority. You have to acknowledge that these guys are different, that they are speaking about the law in more nuanced, more correct terms than everyone beneath them. If you don't have that, then you just get anarchy, and you really don't need a book for that.
Well, my dad was a Chicago cop for 30 years, and he fed at the public trough. I assume you feed at the public trough as well, unless you're an independent. You really? You're independent? Wow, Mazel tov. That's
Yeah, what
great.
do you mean? Why would I work for the state?
I mean, I'm on my way out because I'm gonna have to file this bankruptcy, and I haven't gone to work in a month. Um,
Hmm.
but I just recently helped remodel three three whole floors in one of the biggest downtown Chicago buildings, and it's all for lawyers, all for a certain agency's lawyers, and I spent enough time there to listen to their meetings, and it's crazy because it's like listening to clown house rooms with a bunch of lawyers arguing about some totally, meaning that like they're getting paid to be there and they have to be there in the office, so they have to find ways to fulfill their time, but what are they really doing? I know they do. I know it's very technical, but it's just communication. um and I know you have to be very smart, but anyways, the whole point is, uh I'm just saying Mazel Tov that you don't feed at the public trough. Because there's so it seems, but maybe you should feed at the public trough. Maybe working for the government could be a big career security blessing for you. I mean, I know a lot of Orthodox Jews here in Chicago. Their wives are pharmacists. They have this advanced PharmD program where you get your bachelor's and your pharmacy degree in like 4 years or something. And all these Orthodox Jews do it because it allows them to keep Shabbos. So it's a good career path. But I'm just saying the government, you know, anyways, doesn't matter. It's been fun. Goodbye, night shalom. Your life is already pretty much worked out. You got kids, you got career. I mean, how do you manage the stress? Is Clubhouse technically your stress, your talk therapy?
Probably. Yeah. It's a lot of work, but I like work.
Well, do you feel like you're the fully modeled man?
Did you say, do I feel like I'm an old man?
No, fully modeled, meaning like you're the completed system. Like you are the product of a philosophy, an understanding, a knowledge, like your parents' input into you, your input into the system. Like, do you feel like perfected or in a state of perfection, or do you still have anxiety or fears or anger? Like, you seem to me like perfectly balanced.
I feel complete. I feel like there's each day is new. There's more to gain. I've got goals. I'd like to go some places, but yeah, I try to fill each of my days with everything that I need, and I try to realize that what I need is what's good for me. Like this little kid. Yeah, right? On a normal day, I might not be dealing with a child who wants to be pushed in a swing. But I have to, because who's going to push him?
I know. I see men pushing children around, in my area all the time, and I'm just like, if that, like, will that ever be me? Will I do that? And because look at Donald Trump and his son Barron, like Donald didn't push his son around Times Square as far as I know, or Central Park as far as I know, maybe security reasons and all that, but, I don't know. I'm wondering. So I have to file this bankruptcy because I don't want to, they claim I owe 300,000. And if I keep working for the government, they're just going to tax me for the next fucking 30 years. So,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
yeah, so I'm going to spend the 50 grand that I got in savings and then file the bankruptcy. But I'm going to go to Israel and I'm going to go stay at the 180-degree hostel in the Dan Hotel for like probably 3 months and try to find myself a shidducha. I'm going to spend my money on finding a wife.
Bankruptcy. Right? Get bankruptcy before you get married, because they'll go after your wife's stuff, no?
No, I'm going to do the bankruptcy before I get married.
Okay, alright. Just plan it through.
No, I'm not going to just give my money to the lawyers and say, hey, I'm bankrupt. Here you go. Here's everything I got. Now I'm ready to start over again. No, I'm going to spend it all, then say, okay, guys, I got $200 left. But yeah, going bankrupt sucks, man. This has been a bad experience. But it is amazing how my life has like congealed into like a final output, meaning that like my work has gotten so complicated and ridiculous that I don't even want to do it anymore because it's so stressful and just never ending work. And so it's amazing how like
Well, do you incorporate rest into your life?
rest, like sleep.
No, like Shabbos.
I I don't keep it kosher. I just try to modify. I'm aware of Shabbos. I mean, I usually try to study Torah or wisdom on Shabbos, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm totally violating Shabbos in every way possible. But to me,
Yeah, I'm not talking about following the law. I'm saying like the idea of a day designated for rest, devoid of the stresses of work.
oh
And
yeah,
Shabbos is not like an easy thing to get, maintain, and stand by, but it's a life changing approach, right? If you're wondering like how I deal with the stresses, like I push myself to the breaking point every day, and then on Shabbos I don't.
Well, when you say you push yourself to the breaking point every day, what does that really mean? Does that just mean you take yourself as far, like your brain processing power, you take it as far as you can go until you exhaust yourself, and then you're physically exhausted, and then you have this one.
No, because like that could just be like masturbation. Like you can masturbate yourself to exhaustion. No, I look for things that need to be done that I can do to improve the world. Then I do them, even if I'm tired, because they need to be done.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
Like
You don't like to go.
There's no real breaking point. There's just, did you do the things that needed to be done or not?
Right.
And if I can say yes, that's great. Like I spent my body that day.
Right. So I grew up with these Orthodox Jewish family called the Moretskis, and I said to Marty one day, my mom and I were in his backyard, and I said, Marty, when did you become Orthodox? He said, after I got married, because my mother-in-law was calling us so much that it was like it was ruining our Shabbos. So we became, Orthodox. So we didn't have to talk to my mother-in-law on the phone on Shabbos. We got a 1 day reprieve from my mother-in-law. I was like, really? That's the reason why and I'm talking they are fully Orthodox. Like their whole lives have been dedicated to their congregation, in Skokie. And very happy life. And all the kids, maybe not all the kids are successful, but it's amazing how some people might think, Orthodox Jews are low IQ, but based on the amount of information they've accumulated and read over the course of their lifetimes, it's like 100 to 1 compared to the person criticizing the Orthodox Jew about, secular education and things like that. It's the language, when I talk to the sons of this family, their language is incredible. I mean, they're very smart, very composed, very mature. They're not sexual deviants. They only have, this kid had to get a divorce because for whatever reason. But it's amazing how, immediately paired right back up and gets married. And he's a meteorologist for the, US Department of weather or whatever the hell that agency is.
They're just people like everybody else.
Right. They're just people. And they're not, but the thing is, they're not violent people. They're peaceful people. They're educated, wisdom based people. They're God fearing people. So.
It's a question of which books you tell people to read over and over again. If it's comic books, you'll get a bunch of people that want to dress up like superheroes. And if it's the Torah, you'll get a bunch of ethical folk that understand how hard life can be and how great it can be.
So where do all the ceasefire? I mean, there's a whole collective of Democrats on the spectrum, but even downtown Chicago, I saw a bunch of young, liberal Jews in their, probably early 20s getting arrested at a ceasefire movement, and this Jewish guy stared down all the other Jews and stared them down and watched them almost as in like, you're doing this for a cause. And I think, I'm watching these Jews play this Palestinian ceasefire game, and they're all getting arrested by the police, and I'm screaming out, "Don't ruin your Shabbos! Don't ruin your Shabbos! Don't ruin your Shabbos, sweetheart!" and this girl is like laughing, like she knows him. She's like, and she's shaking because she's about to get arrested, and this is like a whole terrifying experience for her. But meanwhile, there's this like Jewish overlord handler looking at her, who's running the nonprofit agency. He's wearing a coat, whatever the scarf is, and he's Jewish. He looks.
Oh,
Kifia, yeah, he's wearing the black and white one, and he's watching all these other Jews get arrested, and I'm just like wondering, where did these young Jews, at what point, how did somebody catch them with a hook? They got fished, so I'm just wondering
because
what
people look outside of their culture to see if they're missing something, especially if the world gaslights them and says that they're wrong 24/7. Right? Why are there Christians that start worshiping Satan? Right?
Well, I know people see in terms of comparative religion is very useful in terms of revalidating, or that compare without the contrast and the relativity, you can't even really get into the deeper meaning or understanding of, I guess, the spirituality of the various religious systems. I'm just saying it's very useful to study Buddhism. It's very useful to study Hinduism, or Japanese Zen Buddhism, because it gives you a very Asian perspective to God and nature. And I don't know, in Judaism, what the irony is, it's all the same. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's like,
well, what's the common denominator? The atheists like to point this out. They were all written and compiled and discussed and maintained by people.
right.
That part of the insight of Judaism is to study the man, not the game.
So, I mean, I've heard, Alan Watts, this philosopher who was very successful in the 60s and 70s, and people today by the tens of millions listen to him and his wisdom on YouTube. And he says that, what was I going to say? Oh. I don't know, I've just like thoroughly exhausted myself in terms of thinking about God. But how are you going to raise your kids?
What do you mean?
Like, I mean, are you going to foot the bill and get them a school? Are you going to do it yourself? What are you going to do?
I send them to day school, which is run by my high school principal when I was in high school.
Oh, that's nice. But it's expensive, no?
I try to like narrowly tailor myself to what I know the best. Like if I know this teacher, okay, you can teach my kids. Because I studied them myself. At worst, I know exactly what to expect.
Do you see any, well, I guess there's no downside.
A downside? I mean, like, yeah, I mean, you could be wrong. I could be wrong.
No, I'm
I
saying.
see. I just feel like my kids are an extension of, or I want them to be an extension of whatever insights I've gained over my life. So if I gain some insights from one guy, let them pick up with where he is today.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Sounds great. I don't know.
That's what it is. We'll see if it works.
Well, I don't know if I get the feeling like that what you have around the house is going to be the best base root education that a person gets.
Yeah, I have different arguments about what's good for raising kids. That's right. It is wet.
You
Come
mean
on, it's only little raindrops.
you mean you will
Barely rain.
you will deprive them of access to knowledge in a coordinated fashion, so you don't have to deal with useless discourse?
Nah, I'm not depriving them of knowledge. I mean, you know what? I guess I kind of deprive them of knowledge when I point out something stupid. But like that's just my judgment. Like I think it's a waste of time. I'm happy for them to prove me wrong.
Well, you don't go to the gym, do you?
Not as much as they should. I'm starting to. I used to have a good gym habit. Now mostly I chase after kids in the middle of the day, like play with stuff in my yards, try and keep myself. But it's not as good. I should go to the machines.
Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you believe that there's value in having no thoughts?
Yes.
And how did Jews achieve like the no thought state of mind where you're no longer thinking or doing a dialectic?
I don't know. They don't usually. They're more aimed for thought. I mean, like, silence is a bit of a thing. There's some insights on silence.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's like a really strict Jewish approach of like silence and inner contemplation. There's tefillah. But,
Well,
you know,
peace is silence in many ways.
maybe.
The reason.
Come right after the Birchas Kohanim.
Well, listen, in modern psychology, they just call it flow state. That's all I'm trying to get at. It's where you're not
Well, flow state, I think, only comes from work. I don't think you get flow state by sitting there.
Oh, well, you can induce it with red wine on Shabbos. I'm just saying that there's a
They also
psychological.
got these like thinking caps. Have you heard of these?
Are you talking about your yarmulke?
No, like electrodes.
What
They've studied this, that like with a 9-volt battery, if they like do like a subtle electric thing, they can trigger flow states.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
But
I always wanted to try that. I haven't done it.
But when I say flow state, I mean that you're not using words. You're doing the actions. It's like you're no longer thinking or talking. You're just doing. So that's in many ways it's a little bit like what did Abraham say when he set forth on his great journey?
Lech lecha?
What does that mean?
Go for your own sake, or it's what God said to Abraham.
Okay, so go for your. That concept of go for your own sake is like liberation theology in many ways. It is kind of FUBU, for us, by us type thinking. That is also kind of a magical motto, as in, I remain silent unless I command. I go forth for my own sake. It's a little bit like self-remembrance. It's a little bit, because honestly, we spend so much of our time giving, meaning that we give and we get, and we help other people get what they want so we can get what we want. But it's still constantly working for other people to situationalize, the situation, meaning to create the equilibrium, the harmony of life. But what I'm still saying is, it's a little bit like project management. You're trying to optimize the situation by kind of by being humble and not having an ego. It's the optimal way to run your life, whether you're a billionaire or a homeless person. I'm just saying that there is psychological, philosophical angles of approach to our speech, our thoughts, our actions, for positive outcomes.
All that makes sense, but I have no idea what happened to my son's shoes.
Well, look at the word. He shooed them away.
They went somewhere. They weren't really staying on anyway. No big loss.
So the one thing I wanted to mention about the gym is, let me ask you this.
I gotta get to the gym. You're totally right.
Let me ask you this. Are you a brain and a body or a brain? I mean, when you lift weights, you're not just exercising.
Don't listen to the cynics.
You're not just, when you do a bicep curl or you do a squat, you're really not just working out those muscle groups. Your brain is attached to all of this. So your brain, when you induce that stress, is creating all kinds of positive chemicals and hormones for your body to repair itself, to heal itself, to optimize itself. It's all happening at the subconscious level. And unless you use this modern metal technology equipment, I know you're very smart, but and you have so many things in your environment, but it's all actually, you can optimize your environment more if you try to optimize your body through metal by lifting weights and doing light cardio and stretching. And it's a family affair. It improves your overall family's mental health. The more your family exercises, the happier you will all be, the healthier you will all be. But lifting metal, is kind of a miracle thing. I mean, in the movie Conan the Barbarian, he says, I will tell you about the riddle of steel. So I'm just telling you that metal and steel is a dietary health activity. I mean, you should do push-ups, you should do squats, you should do sit-ups. You're at the park right now, I think. So, is it okay to support cyberbullying on Clown House? I don't think so. Not unless you're trying to embarrass the person or make fun of them. Okay, I'm gonna hop out of here, McZed. Doctor Carlton. Hope you enjoyed. I don't know. You're probably sleeping. Fatty. Raboina Shaloilim Shavua Tov. Geh kach en lichtig in dein Augen.
There's receipts.
But have you ever seen how like birth certificates work? Like we write the names down that we want to. A lot of women have children that are not their husbands. That's all I'm saying. I'm not accusing her of anything. I'm just saying we never know exactly for sure.
But isn't that the common thing with like a mixed person?
Yeah, would she be mixed technically, or was she like identifying as black only and then found out?
Such a non-sequitur. Yeah.
The woman that went on the show, was she like darker skin or light skin maybe?
She's one of the biggest. Angela Davis. Yeah, she's one of the biggest proponents of separatist. Like she's the biggest separatist and proponent for reparations that there is. Like there's no prouder black woman than there to be a proud black woman, other than her. But then she found out. She's like, I'm from a pilgrim. Oh, my people were actually the very first 101 people on the Mayflower.
Was
No
she
shit.
light-skinned by chance, this woman?
You're talking about Angela Davis, yes.
Yes, she's very
Lord.
fair complected.
It is always them, but I don't want to wake it up. Okay.
No, let's wake it up because she most likely is related to those Mayflower people.
They did ancestry. It's that, that famous professor who always talked about race. He had a little special where he took like some celebrities and like some people. There you go, yeah. And he had a little special where he even had Pharrell on there, a bunch of people. And Angela Davis was one too. Yeah, the one that made me laugh. Kunta Kinte. Yo, his great granddaddy was in the Civil War fighting for the Confederacy.
But his family was also a part of the Mayflower group too.
So with Angela Davis, like, she is a person who deeply inspires me as a woman, and her choice to leave the Black Panthers really informed a lot of my own politics because I put being a woman above being a black woman, but that's just what I took from.
What are you applying for a job with Melinda French Gates?
Of course.
The deportation depot will be open tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Deportation depot. Oh my God. An army will be raised, those who will step forward.
My open tonight, and I want to get your reaction to the fact that the appeals court has now stopped your Georgia case, election case, while appeal on Willis's disqualification is pending. This is on the heels of Florida Judge Eileen Cannon looking into whether or not
An army will be raised.
Jack Smith,
Those who would
special
step forward
prosecutor,
to serve.
was appointed
Those
in
who
an
would serve,
appropriate
step
way,
forward.
which would render the case and the indictments out completely. That is going to take place in fairly short order.
So I was gonna say that, you know, the rod is like an occult symbol, meaning that we are, you know, black poles, or we are poles. And then the second thing is earth, air, water, fire. Those four symbols in occult symbolism represent God. That those four elements is the secret name of God, like Yahweh or something.
Like God, the name of God. Well, which is the name of God?
Meaning that this true name of God is the four major elements: earth, air, water, fire. Without those four, you wouldn't have the base reality.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, Nimrod's an interesting character because isn't he the first one really to?
That's what Joe Biden named his son after, Hunter Biden. It's the same thing. It's the first Hunter, meaning that.
Did I ever tell you the story of how Nimrod came to be stupid?
Oh, that's interesting because I know that does mean that. How did it come to be that?
It's because children don't understand sarcasm. Okay?
What the fuck?
Hey, if you like this post, I'm gonna come to your page and I'm. Hey, if you.
Mr. President, Brigitte, distinguished guest. You know, one of the things that's been a legend in my family is my middle name is Robinet. And allegedly, I've been told by my grandfather that this was established. I've not found it yet. Maybe someone could help me. That I'm a son of the American Revolution because Robinette came over with Lafayette and never went home. He stayed in the United States. So that makes me a son of the American Revolution. And, I haven't been able to establish that yet. So maybe one of your genealogists can figure it out for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know you were very surprised when you...
Потихонечку там начинает лично касаться всех. Ну, конечно, всех коснется, так или иначе. Но вот это первое, с чем он столкнулся. И тут у него как бы, я так понимаю, что он-то очень зол на власти. Видимо, там действительно какие-то были нормальные отношения с человеком.
Он же там вроде по туризму что-то отвечал.
Нет, это Петричук, он сказал, что он знает, и, видимо, работал с ней, когда, ну, как артист, и вы, видимо, они как профессионально общались. Вот, и, возможно, даже дружили. И он понимает, что его ни за что посадились.
Не, Аркаш, я про самого Сангаджи, он там раньше рассказывал, что он там, он был ответственный за там развитие внутреннего туризма, председатель комитетов. Председатель комитета. Ну да, так вот, так им же абсолютно все статьи бюджета, кроме военного, урезали. Поэтому, ну, конечно же, он раб быть не может.
Да, ты что, думаешь, что он прям такой чиновник, который переживает, что ему урезали статьи бюджета?
Metropolis, but it was not just an American.
I agree with you there, but I think the real telling time was when the wall came down, just in 1990 then. A major change swept through Europe. And there was a new feeling. It was a friendly, gleeful kind of iconoclasm that happened.
Yeah, but it's
sweeping away.
It started earlier than that.
It started earlier, and that started with people in Europe, with people like Gilbert and George and that crowd. But I mean, going from one medium to the other.
But I'm just talking about like Francesco Clemente and all of the Italian artists, and there were German artists, and before there was a great American chauvinism.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm gonna take the deepest breath of the day. I rule my universe.
Caesar! Caesar! Caesar!
The voices in my head keep on telling me to.
What are you doing?
What's up, home skillet?
Nothing. I'm good.
I saw you come in that room that I was in.
Yeah, they just kicked me.
I think it's you. You know you liked it. Hey,
Oh, kick me all the time. I mean, I come for the kick.
yeah, do it again. Yeah. Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Oh!
Fuck that shit.
Losers. Losers! All day long filming yourself on Clown House, rubbing your titties while you're naked, sipping coffee, smoking weed. Losers!
But that Patty chick was actually pretty informative, actually.
Tali?
Like she Patty.
Oh, I don't know if Patty.
The one in the top right in that room. She's actually like a major in the military.
I don't know what branch, but I know she's a leader because
She's gotta be in the army.
Is she in the army?
If she's a major, what else would she be in? I mean, she could be in the Marine Corps, in the Air Force. What do you think she's
doesn't
in?
matter, but the way she talks about being a leader is actually fucking point on. Like I would follow her with no problem.
Come for the kick.
Do it again. I would easily follow somebody like her. You know, because I believe that, you know, she's got, because the way she talks about looking out for her soldiers and like looking out for their best interests, even after they're not going to be her soldiers, makes me think that she's a good leader. So
When I got out of the army, my first job, well, I tried to start a business with this guy, and it became a huge success, but I couldn't stand him. He was so annoying that I gave him the business like an idiot. And anyways, he made millions of dollars. So I moved back to Chicago and I get a job at Avon as a nighttime, as a graveyard shift supervisor on an assembly line. And so I started learning how the assembly line works. You know, I started actually working it and like working with the workers. And after like a couple of weeks, this black woman comes up to me. She goes, "John," she said, "I just want to let you know, you the best supervisor we done ever had." I said, "Why do you say that?" And she's like, "Because you actually learned how it all worked, how it all works. No supervisor ever done do that, ever. So you the best." I was like, "Oh, shit." I was like, "You know what? You the best." And she's like, "We the best." I was like, "We the best.
We the best."
And then the white woman who ran the plant called me to her office and she said, "John, I want you to fire that black boy Tyrone who's sitting outside, ain't working, looking at his cell phone." I said, "You want me to fire him?" She said, "Yeah, just walk his ass right out the door and tell him he's fired." I was like, "Really?" So I pull him off to an office and I say, "Hey, Molly wants me to fire you today. Like, this is going to be your last day."
I wouldn't even brought up her name. I'd have said it was me.
He's like, "Why the fuck she want to fire me?" I was like, "Listen, I'm going to help you." I was like, "I'm going to coach you here for like 30 minutes and then I'm going to walk you into her office and you're going to apologize and tell her you need the job and, you know, you apologize. Please give me, please."
That's a good leader.
So he says, all right. So for 30 minutes, me and this other guy, we had him repeat an apology over and over. So we walked this black kid into the office and I said, "Molly, excuse me." She says, "What are you doing in my office with him?" I said, "Excuse me, Molly, but he just wants to he wants to tell you an apology. Go ahead, Tyrone." And he said, "Why the fuck you want to fire me, bitch?"
Dumbass.
And then she looked at me and she was like, "Get the fuck out of my office." And I was like, "Oh my God." So I said, "Bro," I was like, did you forget that we just repeated an apology for 30 minutes? He's like, "Yeah, but why the fuck she want to fire me?" I was like, "Holy shit." I was like, "Bro, this is your last day, man. But don't worry, new doors are going to open. Everything's going to be all right."
I hope you don't have to walk through some of those doors. Bro, that's bad. Dude. Like, see, if I had your position, and I ran that floor, and I would have noticed that guy, and I wouldn't have had been the one to have her tell me to fire him. I would have fucking fired his ass myself.
Oh, I didn't really care about that job, but actually they told me this one meeting.
I care about everything I do.
They told me this one meeting, they're like, "Don't give anybody any time off. Like, no one is allowed any time off for Halloween, for anything." So I knew I wasn't gonna. My back was all fucked up. I was like, anyways, I'm sitting in this office and these
Wait, what?
Yeah, my back was all fucked up. I was in horrible.
I don't care about your back. I'm going back to the fact that somebody's breaking the law.
Yeah, I know. So anyways, the Mexicans come in my office and they're like, "Hey, Mr. John, we want to take off for Halloween because we have kids, but the manager said we can't take off." I said, "Don't worry about it, guys. You can tell him I said you could take off. Enjoy your Halloween with your families and God bless." They said, "Oh, Mr. John, you are the best, man." And I said, "I'll tell you what, actually." And then I said to him, I said, you know what, you guys, if you want to take 2 weeks off and use all your annual leave, just go for it. I got you. They're like, oh my God, Mr. John said we could take a 2-week leave and use our vacation time. I was like dying laughing. Like, if these guys only knew I wasn't going to be here on Monday.
Oh, that had a wicked twist at the end.
Glad you're listening.
Why wouldn't I?
We're going to Shalom.
Yeah, man. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
I know. Dude, I think I fucked up my deck on my porch. I think I fucked it up, but we'll see. I bought all this like nail glue and I smeared it all over the deck on the cracked wood, and I stepped on it yesterday and it came right up and stuck to my foot. So like I'm gonna wait
to let it cure.
Yeah, I'm gonna let it cure and then I'm gonna sand it down. But I realized the colors are gonna be off because it's a white binding glue. And so like, do I have to now fucking paint it brown because the wood stain is gonna just discolor it, but it's not gonna match. So the whole deck is gonna look all fucked up.
Dude, you gotta take a picture of it and send me a picture so I know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you take a picture, I'll be able to tell you what to do in like fucking 5.5 seconds.
Yeah. Okay, I'll send you a picture shortly.
But yeah, it's a good day. The weather's. I got the back door open, the front door open. Breeze is nice. The ceiling fans are kicking. Air conditioner's off, and it's 75 degrees in the house.
So yesterday I felt terrible because there was a nest outside my window and there were 2 baby birds in the nest. So I picked it up and I brought it outside and I put it in this bird box that I have. Then at the end of the day, I went to go to check to see if the mother found the babies. Nope. So I take the babies and I throw them in another bird box. And I hope to God that like they'll raise those babies as their babies. But I feel so bad because like,
well, if you
I orphaned these children.
Go find a pet store today. In Chicago, go find a pet store and go buy mealworms. They sell them to eat for lizards to eat, like bearded dragons and shit. You get for less than $5, you can get a shit ton of fucking mealworms.
Yeah, but I don't want to raise these birds, man. That's a full-time job.
Well, then just let them die.
Well, what I'm hoping is that
you can hope and wish, but you can crap in your hand and hope it doesn't stink.
But it's an experiment. Do you think that the other birds?
The experiment is go fucking feed them since you moved them.
No, I'm not going to.
You're a dick.
I thought about that, but it's just too much work. I'm
gonna report you to PETA.
Why? I put them in a new house. I'm just hoping that they don't reject them.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. See, these were like super premium, recently hatched, and I put them in a box with these 3 other chirping baby birds who are kind of older and far more aggressive, and like their heads are really big and they're sitting there, they want to get fed. Listen, I opened this bird.
So you fed the other 3 birds the 2 little birds.
It's possible that they ate the baby birds.
You're such a dick.
I doubt it though.
I'm calling PETA.
I doubt it. Listen, I opened up this bird.
I don't even know their number.
I opened up this bird box yesterday and this like mother bird is like sitting on top of her baby birds, and she just looked me in the eyes like, what in the fuck is this? Like absolutely petrified, eyes wide open. And I just closed the box and I'm like, damn, that was like looking straight into the eye of God. I was like, that was the funniest. Like you could see the emotions on the bird's face as it saw like this giant monster opening up the box and just like looking in. Man,
I just had a fucking ketamine flashback.
I also stabbed myself in the thumb yesterday with a knife, so my fucking thumb is fucked up.
I'm literally coming down from a ketamine flashback right now.
I did ketamine with this really hot chick once, and I was like, bitch, I was like, you do ketamine? I was like, you are fucking retarded. But she was hot.
No, I was in a coma for 2 weeks. But I'm remembering something from when I was in my coma.
Your coma?
Yeah, I was in a coma for 2 weeks.
A coma?
Yeah, my heart stopped. I was dead for flatline for 8 minutes. They recaptured my heart and left me in a coma for 2 weeks.
Oh.
But they had me on a ketamine drip.
Ooh.
That's why I say that, you know, I'm having a ketamine flashback because I'm remembering a dream I had.
What was the dream
while I was on
about?
ketamine. I was in a futuristic looking city with a bunch of skyscrapers, and
I think he's talking about the new Francis Ford Coppola film.
Actually working it and working with the workers. And after a couple weeks, this black woman comes up to me. She goes, John, she said, I just want to let you know, you're the best supervisor we done ever had. I said, why do you say that? And she's like, because you actually learned how it all worked, how it all works. No supervisor.
Oh, kick me all the time. I mean, they come for the kick.
Do it again.
Okay, me and my friend, my three, are doing a trust fall.
Yeah. Interesting.
Now, is it a dream because it might be a future reality for me? Or it might be...
This woman hasn't washed her hair in over 20 years, and what she finds inside will scare you.
myself and my ego, because I still think that I'm still a defender of freedom. And while I was in that coma, I don't know. I mean, it's psychologically it's interesting to think about.
I mean, defender of freedom. What if you were an offender of freedom or an offensive freeman? I mean.
Oh, I'm definitely both of those. Dude, how many people do you think I offend with my freedom? How many people do you think that freedom just offends? How many people just want to be the controller of everything? Narcissistic, sycophants.
There's an annoying control freak who can't let go and ruins the situation, and then
his name is Edmund.
No, I'm very flexible.
Yeah, every room tells you that.
I just come to, be me. And if people kick me out, well, that's the price you pay for being,
Yeah, but that's what gets your dopamine dripping.
Yeah, I know. But I'm also here because...
I know too. It's obvious.
Yeah, but I'm also creating content, and other people are not. So it's my responsibility to create as exciting as fun and interesting conversation as possible for people in the future to listen to so I can monetize them.
You don't try to do that at all.
I mean, this conversation in the future could net us a couple $100, if not a few $1,000. You never know.
Okay. I mean, cool.
Cuckoo.
Oh, shit. No. That's the first mockingbird I've seen this season.
Really?
Yeah, they're back. I love mockingbirds, dude. Mockingbirds are like my favorite fucking bird of all birds. I mean, we have cardinals and blue jays and shit around here, but like those mockingbirds are the fucking shit. Like, because when the crows show up, like, when crows show up, mockingbirds will chase crows and they'll kick the shit out of a crow, even though the crow is like 3 times the size of the mockingbird. I always love them bitches. They're mean. Dude, I've seen a mockingbird fucking, like, hit dogs and cats and fucking buzzards and, like, them birds are badass. They're like the biggest dick on the block. That's why I like them. And I'm not saying I like big dick. Alright, that might have got a couple extra bucks right there. Man. Such a beautiful Sunday morning.
Yeah. Now you're making me want to have a beer.
Life is good.
Okay, listen to this. This is from Zohar. It says,
Please don't do that shit.
just listen to one paragraph. It says,
I don't want to.
I know, but I want to hear it before I go get my beer. Then you're going to hold the room down in the power of the holy illumination.
How long is it?
It's less than it's going to take for me to get my beer. The Blessed Holy One said to Moses, Moses, this is not right. I have given my pledge to them. Even though they have sinned against me, the pledge must remain with them so that I will not leave them. Do you want me to depart from Israel and never return? Return my pledge to them, and for its sake, I will not abandon them wherever they are. Okay, I'm going to my kitchen to get a beer. Hold down the Clown Podcast and invite people to the room. I'll be right back.
I've never invited anybody anywhere. What are you fucking talking about? Never read the fucking comments. I don't look at people's profiles. Oh, what? Man, you gonna make me make another cigarette. Where's my weed? This motherfucker over here fucking talking some stupid shit. Like, I'm gonna get my beer. I'll be right motherfucking back. I ain't back right fucking now. Motherfucker, what you talking about, man? Man, fuck that. Fuck that.
See? I'm back. Poinay Shaloylan.
This motherfucker. Like, he ain't fucking on me here. He got me smoking weed. Fucking got me so stressed out. I gotta smoke a fucking cigarette.
I gotta ice my thumb
I gotta
down.
fucking get his beer. What the fuck?
Oh, I was cutting bread yesterday and I cut right into my thumb. I was like, oh my god.
Idiot.
I was like, oh my god. Holy fuck. Blood was just all over the place. I was like, fuck. Wasn't even paying attention. And they're you know why? It's the shittiest knife. It's like, it's such a piece of shit. It's a dollar store fucking steak knife.
Wannabe ninja. What was that knife that you used to be able to get, the Gensu Ninja? Or Gensu knives? Remember that shit back in the 90s or the 80s?
It's amazing.
They would cut, they're like, you could cut a nail and then cut a tomato on the infomercials. Like, and for $19.99, you only get this set. We'll throw in the free set of steak knives.
Do you know how many people went door to door selling fucking knives?
Oh my Jesus, Lord, Mary, and Joseph.
Could you imagine? Like, there's got to be a better way.
Throughout history? Like all of history?
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. Think about that. Think about that.
I mean, a knife has been a knife since it was the first thing that killed the first immortal. Do you know that story? I don't know where I read it. I don't even remember what book it was in, but I read this story of like these immortals that were like, you know, gold and opulent palace in like, you know, what we would consider Eden for gods, for like Mount Olympus. But they were in this, you know, realm of, you know, they live forever and everything's a party and everything's like, you know, every night it's always like the party. You're always stuck in the party. And then there was this guy that was an immortal that got jealous because of like, you know, this other guy that wanted to have relations with the woman that he wanted, or so. It was always about a woman. But he gets jealous and he uses that a knife that was like, you know, on the dinner table at the party, and he stabbed another immortal and killed an immortal. So he wasn't truly an immortal. And that was like our descent from Eden. You know, not just eating an apple, but it was because of jealousy. That is why we live, you know, outside of Eden and outside that realm of immortal, like, you know, foreverness, which you might consider to be heaven. I don't know what book I read that in, but it sticks with me, and I've thought about that thing for, man, I must have read it back in like 2002 or something. So about like 20-something years.
Amazing.
Think about that.
Amazing.
But, I mean, are we really immortal? Or are we mortal? Because if you can be an immortal in heaven and then be killed out of heaven and thrown to be immortal, does that mean you actually ascend back to being immortal again? Is that the infinite? You know,
Hold the room down. I gotta go to the beach and take the Cosby kids to the beach. I'll be right back. Hold the room down. Invite people to the room. Don't leave the Clown Podcast, but I am gonna make a deposit.
You're gonna go drop a shit. I'm gonna play. I hope you're not broadcasting because I'm gonna play music.
No copyright. Because I got 30 phones all lined up. 2 hours in this morning. 2 hours in this morning. Okay, invite people to the room. Invite people to the room.
I never invite any fucking buddy anywhere.
Invite people. Let's help me grow the Clown Podcast. You're so resistant. I'm going to the beach.
How many rooms have you ever been in that were
have mercy upon my enemies, because I won't.
I built this shit. Wait.
Fucking bet against me. Bet against me. Tell me it's not going to happen. Tell me it's going to fail.
Really?
I love it. I love every minute of it.
Yeah, they're back.
You should be a monster if you fake bravery when you're terrified. That is bravery.
There's no hacks, bro. It's you against you. You against you. And if you misunderstand that, you'll be real proud.
There's a verse in the Bible that says, "As a man thinketh, so is he." So whatever you're thinking about, that's who you will become. Because thoughts lead to actions. Actions lead to habits. Habits lead to lifestyle.
Even though the crow is like,
And that lifestyle is what dictates who you are, brother.
If you want to be great, you want to be the baddest motherfucker ever that you
dude, I've seen a mockingbird.
You're going to be misunderstood by everybody. Because you're going to be so fucking obsessed and so driven to get there. That's what it takes.
Buzzards. Like them birds are badass. They're like the biggest dick on the block. That's why I like them. And I'm not saying I like big dick. Alright, that might have got a couple extra bucks right there. Man, such a beautiful Sunday morning.
Yeah. Now you're making me want to have a beer.
Life is good.
Okay, listen to this. This is from Zohar. It says,
Please don't do that shit.
just listen to one paragraph. It says,
I don't want to.
I know, but I want to hear it before I go get my beer. Then you're going to hold the broom down in the power of the Holy One.
How long is it?
It's less than it's going to take for me to get my beer. The Blessed Holy One said to Moses, Moses, this is not right. I have given my pledge to them. Even though they have sinned against me, the pledge must remain with them so that I will not leave them. Do you want me to depart from Israel and never return? Return my pledge to them, and for its sake, I will not abandon them wherever they are. Okay, I'm going to my kitchen to get a beer. Hold down the Clown Podcast and invite people to the room. I'll be right back.
I've never invited anybody anywhere. What are you fucking talking about? Never read the fucking comments. I don't look at people's profiles. The fuck? Man, you don't make me beg another cigarette. Where's my weed? This motherfucker over here fucking talking some stupid shit like, I'm gonna get my beer. I'll be right motherfucking back. And he ain't back right fucking now. Motherfucker, what are you talking about, man? Yeah, fuck that. Yeah, fuck like that.
See? I'm back. Plain and Shaloy.
This motherfucker. Like, he ain't fucking on me. He had to got me smoking weed. Fucking got me so stressed out. I gotta smoke a fucking cigarette.
I got ice in my thumb.
I gotta eat one day. What the fuck?
Oh, I was cutting bread yesterday and I cut right into my thumb. I was like, oh my god.
Shit, idiot.
I was like, oh my god. Holy fuck. Blood was just all over the place. I was like, fuck. Wasn't even paying attention. And you know why? It's the shittiest knife. It's such a piece of shit. It's a dollar store fucking steak knife.
Wannabe ninja. What was that knife that you used to be able to get, the Gensu Ninja? Or Gensu knives? Remember that shit back in the 90s or the 80s?
It's amazing.
They would cut, they're like, you could cut a nail and then cut a tomato on the infomercials. Like, for $19.99, you only get this set. We'll throw in the free set of steak knives.
Do you know how many people went door to door selling fucking knives? Ribono Shaloi Line, we are back and better than ever before.
Sounds like you're 3 inches skinnier.
What a relief.
Boy,
I was reading something very interesting while I was on the throne.
What did it make you think?
It reassured me that my thoughts are correct.
In what regard?
With regards to the blessed holy ancient one.
Isn't it funny we shit in a hole and you say holy?
Good one. Good one.
My bad. Bad jokes.
Have you ever thought about that before, or did you just come up with it?
That was just me off the cuff. Dude, I'm rarely, super thoughtful. Like 99% of everything I say is like off the cuff.
Oh, I know.
I mean, but there are like, my lingering deep thoughts, but, I typically stay within my short-term memory. I don't go to my long-term memory. What? That's not true. I can't actually say that. Because I've heard so many stories.
Amazing.
But I'm always relating my long-term stories to the short-term reality, I guess. I don't know how to think about it. Let me smoke some weed. I'll get back to you on that. I have a flower. That sounded like the dumbest thing I ever heard when I heard you say that for the first time.
What?
Like, take the deepest breath of the day. It's back when you used to ring your bell all the time. Your triangle, like, ding! Take the deepest breath of the day. Breathe in. Hold it for 10 seconds. And then you were like, breathe out and say, I'm a flower. I do that. I catch myself doing that all the time. And I don't even need the bell because I can hear the bell when I breathe in like that.
Probably saved your life. Probably saved your life with my breathing technique.
Yeah, or that triangle.
It all comes from the teachings of a Buddhist master known as Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yeah. Well, I don't care if he's a thick nigger or not. Another bad joke.
That one we will just skip right over.
And I told you, cool beans, I invented it.
You like to think you did, but I assure you, you're not the original creator of the cool bean. I mean,
Whatever.
I guess you are, but that's like saying you're the only guy. You're not. You're not. No.
I am that guy. Nobody likes to be that guy, but I'm that guy.
You're like my friend. His name is Guy. His nickname is Guyness.
Sir Guyness. Sounds like an incurable disease.
He's a lot like you. Oh, you guys are like fucking brothers.
Sounds like I fucking hate him.
Maybe. I don't know. You guys are probably...
I don't get along with any of my brothers. I have 5 brothers and I don't get along with one of them.
Yeah, this guy is a smart guy. He's not gonna piss you off.
I'm just saying, you said he's like my brother. I'm like, that's not a good thing to say to me. Dude, I got 5 sisters. I'm only friends with one of them. My nieces and nephews, they all fucking love me. They go behind their parents' back to talk to me. Because I'm that cool uncle. The one that smokes weed and is always drunk. But also has his own house and isn't asking everybody for fucking money every 5 fucking seconds. Because they see family members that I have, man. You got family members that will ask you for money. Like, every time you're around, they're asking you for money. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Get a job. Didn't your mama love you? Oh, shit. That's right. We're related. That's so weird about how families work out like that. You got any siblings, Sean?
Yeah, I got a sister.
Oh, yeah. You said something like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. She's engaged.
Yeah. I don't remember people's names. I'm surprised I remember yours.
Oh, we've been talking every day for years. You think maybe you would get to know my name?
Dude, you know how many people that I served with in Iraq that I trained with for like a year and a half before I even went to Iraq? And I was in Iraq for 16 months with them, and I still can't. I think about them, and I can see their face in my mind, but I can't put a name to that face.
Yeah, but you didn't record a 300-hour podcast with them, now did you?
I didn't know I've recorded a 300-hour podcast with you.
Probably.
Oh, wow. Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I hope we can scam some people.
That's what I'm saying. Go to Scam Movie. Listen, I'm going back to Hollywood. I'm going to put up ads saying, want to be in Scam Movie? We're auditioning talent.
Holy shit. How much is it for a billboard in Hollywood? How much is it for a billboard in Hollywood?
Oh, probably fucking $4,000 for the month. I don't know.
For the month?
Yeah.
All right. So for 20 grand, we get 5 billboards all around Hollywood. And you want to be in Scam Movie? Go to scammovie.com.
No, man, these billboards are a waste of money. I could put ads up on Craigslist and get
Nah,
thousands
fuck
of
that
people.
shit. I'd make it a sensation because I'd make the image so salacious, everybody be talking about it.
No, what we do is we just take a photo of a billboard, we Photoshop our poster on it, and then we run ads online saying,
I'm a physical guy.
I'm a cheap guy who likes to turn a profit over here, Rabbi Shalom. You like to spend your money and not turn a profit. I got cost benefits analysis and return on investment protocols to run over here. Min and max table simulations.
You want to convince me that CDs sound better than records. I don't want to hear it.
You still haven't invited people to the room. What's the deal?
I did.
Well, where is everybody?
I invited Death Hippie and a few other people.
Well, invite everyone. You have 1,000 friends.
I don't ever invite everyone. I don't like everyone.
The point is, we're trolling people.
Is there a button to invite everyone?
Yeah, you hit the plus button, you go through the list, and you start adding all the green dot people who are online.
I'm not going to sit there and go, dump. Is there a button that says add everyone?
Oh, wow.
There needs to be a button that says add everyone.
Rabbi Shalom.
That's 1,000 motherfucking people, dude. Suck a dick.
I'm looking at 2 beautiful blondes who I'm going to meet at my boat this afternoon, who I hope are thinking the same and saying the same thing. Rabbi Shalom.
Dude. I shot 6 over on 9 holes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. So that's an 85.
But it's an Air Force Base golf course, and it's really kind of short. So it was kind of like cheating. Like, even when you're playing from the back tees, it's par 4 is really not a par 4.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tiger Woods would fucking be up on the green and won.
How long is your average par 5?
500 yards. 450 to 500 yards, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I was thinking 470, 480.
Well, I mean, with all the new technology and all the new balls and all the new fucking, heads and like the amount of impact you're getting and the amount of like, dude, like golf in the '80s was so much different than it is now. I mean, I still remember playing with my fucking wood clubs.
Oh man, my neighbor, he gave me my first set of golf clubs as a gift. I used to snowblow and shovel his walkway all winter long, and
Hell yeah.
I mean, he paid me too, but he did give me my first set of golf clubs, and I definitely had wood drivers. It was great.
I got my first surfboard for cutting somebody's yard. I was 12 years old.
Have,
I still remember the day I got that thing.
How badly have you been? How badly have you been hurt in your life?
Broken?
Physically and mentally.
Mentally, I've been destroyed. I mean, there's nothing left of my ego of who I was.
You mean the identity or personality?
Yeah, that person is gone.
What does that mean, though?
It means you build a new personality by putting the pieces back together.
But the memories are still there of, the hurt, the pain.
Yeah.
For
sure.
But have you ever had a nervous breakdown?
No. I believe in Jesus too much for that.
Okay, so what about the physical maladies then?
My belief system in Jesus is like, I don't keep. Why do you got a feedback going on?
I don't know.
Right. But I don't believe in like keeping hate in my heart, because I don't want to like begrudge and hold a grudge on somebody for whatever. I mean, I know I get angry. I mean, I'm a human. That's just part of my emotional, range. But like, because I love Jesus so much, and I know that, he gave me this life, I would never disrespect Jesus with ever trying to do anything to this life that he gave me, to hurt it. And I know that in, all humans, God, created them in his image. And when I think about human beings and their images, that's God to me. I don't want to hate that. I mean, I can get angry. If you try to come against me and try to hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. Don't get me wrong. Fuck with me and fuck around and find out. But I don't actively look for, hate or, begrudging or, evil intent. And I think that's the thing that keeps me from, I would never hurt myself. Never ever, because that would mean me disrespecting Jesus, and I would never do that. But that's just my belief system.
Okay, so tell me about your physical maladies, all the injuries you've had over your life.
All the broken bones and shit?
Yeah.
I'd rather not. I mean, I'm doing good. I can still jog, 2 or 3 miles a day. So I'm good. I mean, I don't want to talk about what my physicality is. I have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
When you talk about my brittle bone disease, that my spinal cord is breaking down, and the little shards from my spine are jabbing the nerve roots, ganglia, and then causing me pain. I don't care, man. I don't care about that stuff. I'm gonna just keep drinking my beer, smoking my weed, smoking my cigarettes, and do what the fuck I do until the fucking wheels fall off. Yeah, fuck them. Yeah, really, fuck them.
I mean, that's kind of how Sigmund Freud went out.
Dude, don't take life so seriously. You're never fucking gonna get out of life alive.
Maybe.
What are you, Enoch?
No, I'm saying that based on esoteric philosophy, you already you're immortal or an eternal infinite spirit, so there's no life to get out of. You already this is the illusion.
That our lives are not actually corporeal.
Right. Exactly. It's actually spiritual. This is an illusion.
Okay. I can
Um,
get down on this.
but the thing is, the Buddha talks about suffering as opposed to sin. And in the Western evangelical Christian system of sin and repentance versus enlightenment and suffering alleviation, together you can synthesize a better balance and get a better average and median of intelligence. So thus the value of Eastern religion.
Dude, my fucking refrigerator sucks. I need to buy a new refrigerator.
I had
Any
to
suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, don't go for the cheapest one. Spend a little extra money and get a bigger one if you can afford it.
Yeah, but I don't want one that has like the water thing in the door. I don't want it to do the water thing in the door with ice and all that shit.
Well, I had to buy one for the tenant downstairs, which I didn't want to, and I went cheap on them, so they don't have the best. Like it's not very big, and it's honestly, if it's not big, it's kind of annoying, but it still works.
Dude, right now my freezer on this little GE like an over under, the freezer fucking works like a motherfucking charm. The thing runs like a fucking top, but the bottom half of it is fucking like hot as fuck. And I've turned it off and I've poured hot boiling water down the vents in the freezer and tried to clear all that shit out. And then I'll turn it back on after like 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And the refrigerator worked just fine for about a day. And then it's back to being fucked up again.
Yeah, you need a new refrigerator.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. And I just got paid, so what the fuck, you know?
Well, go to Home Depot and get yourself a new refrigerator.
Actually, I'm going tomorrow on Monday to the base, and I'm gonna buy it at the PX.
No tax, huh?
Yeah, and they'll deliver it.
Well, if you go to Home Depot, they do have a veteran discount at checkout, which is great. I've used it many times now.
Yeah, 10%. Yeah, but you got to be service connected now.
No, dude. I'm telling you, this is the way it works.
Home Depot checked me one day. I said I've got a veterans card, and I showed my VA card, and they took it from me, and they had to look and make sure under my picture it says service connected.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. The whole thing is done through the app now to apply the discount at checkout. It's all through the app.
Yeah, but it's 10%. Dude, I work for a painter. I used to paint houses because that was easy, cheap money. You know, it was easy to get. You know, $150 for a day's worth of painting. Fuck it. And so I would paint for this painter, but he'd bid out a job, and you know he'd have to buy like $5,000 worth of paint. I'm like, hey man, what is your discount as a contractor in here? And my 10%, he was like 5% as a contractor. I'm like, here, let me use mine, and you give me 1% of the 5 that I'm saving you. And then, so I mean, you know, $5,000, 10%, that's $500. And then he would have made it for $250. So that mean I made like 25. He'd pay me an extra $25 just to use my fucking VA discount.
I get it.
Hey, it worked for him. I was saving him $225.
I know, but what I'm saying is it might be cheaper to go to Home Depot versus the PX, depending.
I've been looking around, man. I've been doing the Amazon and like Lowe's and all that shit. I've even looked at like the used appliance stores, you know, and all that crap that give warranties on their shit. I've been looking around.
Alright,
I'm looking for a side by side that doesn't have
You're getting the logo, right?
the like water in the door, the water in the ice thing on the freezer side. I want a nice stainless steel that's just refrigerator on the right, freezer on the left. That's all I want. Because I want to build out a cabinet system around it, to make it my pantry. I'm gonna encapsulate it. But, that's my plan anyway.
Hearing these words and
We got a guy coming tomorrow. He's actually gonna do
sentences to believe them. The Buddha said, Subhuti, do not utter such words. 500 lifetimes after I have passed away, there will be people who observe moral discipline and cultivate merit. When such people hear these words, they will have faith and confidence.
Buena Shalala.
But so you got some 2 honeys coming to meet you on the boat today?
No, I'm just kidding. I was looking at a TikTok video.
Oh. It sounded like you were about to have a better day than me. I was like, damn, I have to fucking show up and show out.
No.
You should go down to the boat, though. If anything, order some takeout and then, go sit down on the boat, just sit on the boat and listen, bring you a Bluetooth speaker and listen to some music and sit on the boat and eat some takeout.
I'm already on the boat, bro. Ha! 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 Ha!
You're a liar.
Listen, you're so smart. I have to try to one-up you and troll you a little bit, because otherwise you're just going to constantly outsmart me. So I'm already on the boat.
I am the ultimate dickhead of one-upperism.
I know, you're impossible.
I don't know why that's my personality, though. And I can't change it because I've been told that my whole fucking life.
Do you know how much more annoying you would be in real person? Because you smoke cigarettes. Like, you're like, you're basically, you're one step away from dressing up as a woman and walking around as a woman to just upset and angry, make everybody angry that they have to look at you dressed up as a woman. You're very close to being trans, let me tell you. You're one personality away.
I hope I never meet that personality.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if people had to deal with you dressed up as a woman and you demanded your pronoun? Oh my God.
Ma'am. It's ma'am.
People would be like, I hate you, Brianna.
Brianna. Dude, I'm glad I never had a daughter because I was actually going to name my daughter that.
I knew my friend Max, he was dating this nice girl named Brianna, but they broke up.
And if I ever had another daughter, I was going to name her Reagan. And believe it or not, that's not even a joke.
Evidence that these words embody the truth. You should know that these bodhisattvas have sown
if I
seeds
ever have
not
another
only
son,
during
his name is going to be Hender.
the lifetime of one Buddha, or
Hender
even
fits
2, 3, 4, or
That's what I
5 Buddhas, but have in truth planted these seeds during the life of tens of thousands of Buddhas. Such bodhisattvas coming to hear these teachings will have an immediate arising of a single thought of pure faith.
So are you open to me doing a little spiritual chanting?
No.
Well, can you say a prayer for us then? Rabbana Shalom.
Thank you, Lord. On this day of your Sabbath Sunday, I think of you with my friend John. And when two of us think of you, you shall be between us, among us. And I hope that you may live and dwell within John's soul, Lord, that he may understand how to be a clean vessel in your name, Lord, that I may be able to honor you, God, as you have created all things, and for your pleasure I was created. And I should be your pleasure, Lord, and I apologize for any infractions and sins that I have put against myself and embarrassed myself in front of your presence, Lord. And I would ask that you forgive both myself and John for all those transgressions, Lord. And in your name, Lord Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Buddhiva Tathagata, who knows and sees all, will recognize them. And these living beings will thus acquire immeasurable merits. Why? Because they have wiped out false notions of a self, a person, a being, and a life, and of karma and not dharma.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good prayer, bro. I mean, solid.
Their minds grasp at form, they will still cling to the notion of a self, a person, a being, and a life. And if their minds grasp the Dharma, they will still cling to the notion of a self, a person, a being, and a life. And if their minds grasp what is not the Dharma, they will also cling to the notion of a self, a person, a being, and a life. Therefore one should not grasp onto the Dharma or that which is not the Karma. This is the hidden meaning when the Tathagata says, monks, those who know that the teachings about Dharma are like a raft, should cast aside the Dharma, and so how...
I'm classically conditioning them right now, because if somebody comes in the room and goes, hello, I'll be like, hello?
Yeah, but that all goes back. That all goes back to Jazzy, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, dude, I don't. Dude, she got so mad when I called her the N-word, bro.
Yeah, because the whole thing is this is her moment to be explosive, because you can't really get that in the real world.
Bruh. You want to be explosive against me? I'll be explosive back. I mean, shoot at me and I'll shoot back.
Yeah, but my whole point is I want to try to, even though things are not good, I still want to maintain my emotional strength and equilibrium, and that doesn't include being vulgar.
Dude, I've been in I've been in a room with Jazzy.
I guess yeah.
Listen to me. I've been in a room 5 times with Jazzy. Since
much
that
more
happened,
cast aside that which is not Dharma. No attainment, no teaching. What do you think Subhuti has the Tathagata attained pure?